What's up guys, today I'm going over my new favorite weapon and build in Destiny 2, and I've come to the conclusion that just everything is broken this DLC with the stat rework, and this primary is not only one of the best in the game currently, I would argue it's maybe the best of all time. It is just absolutely broken right now, and that's because of an artifact perk. This thing is not only like truly an exotic tier weapon, I think it was even further than that. It's just absolutely wild. And we're going to be talking about the comp Hankin and the Solemn Remembrance with Headstone and Firefly. You can get this weapon in the comp playlist as a bonus reward, so it's not guaranteed. And I think you just gotta get B score to have a chance. And as you're farming, you can also get the Crucible weapons, which are quite a few good PV ones in there too. So I would say it's definitely worth farming once you can get to tier 4 or tier 5 drops. So maybe I would recommend just waiting until you're 450 light, either this season or next season, to get tier 5s from Crucible. And this doesn't make it a lot easier to farm the role you want, because you're going to get 3 perks per column. But this thing is 100% worth your time getting. It is just wild. So in this video, we're going to be quickly breaking down the role you want. I think it's pretty straightforward, but maybe there's something else that is worth keeping along the way. And looking at why it's so broken and the best build for it. So just quickly looking at the perks, in the left column, there is practically only one perk you want in PV, and that's going to be Headstone. And what can you pair that with in the right? Obviously, Firefly. But I think keeping one with Rhyme Stiller makes a lot of sense. There are other Hankins with that role, but this is the first of this new tier system, so it should be a little bit better than those previous ones. So maybe keep that if you get it along the way. Another one good could keep would be Magnificent Howl, for that 50% damage increase. So you can keep going as long as you're getting precision kills. But the star of the show is by far Headstone and Firefly. And what about this role makes it so great? Well, with Headstone, when you normally get a precision final blow, it creates the crystal, then you gotta shoot it, and then the crystal will shatter and do a lot of damage in a huge radius. And normally with Firefly, when you get precision final blow, there will be the elemental explosion, and it'll give you increased reload speed. So both are really good AoE active perks, but when you combine them, what happens is the Headstone crystal spawns in first, the Firefly happens second, and will shatter the crystal all in one seamless motion. So just from the one precision final blow, both things will happen instantly. And there's a lot of things we can do to increase the damage and radius of this explosion. We can use Whisper of Fissures to increase the radius of the shatter. But more importantly, this season in the artifact, we have Frigid Glare. While Frost Armor is active, Stasis Precision Final Blows cause combatants to release a freezing burst. And we get Frost Armor very easily with Fever and Chill, where every 3 rapid Stasis Precision hits will grant a stack of Frost Armor. And then once we have Frost Armor, all of our Precision Final Blows will release a freezing burst. And when you combine this with Headstone and Firefly, some very, very crazy things start to happen. And so if you break it down in very slow motion, when you get the precision final blow, they will first freeze the Stasis crystal from Headstone will spawn in, shattering those frozen targets. Then the Firefly will happen, shattering the crystal. So you have 3 veins of damage practically instantly. You have 2 shatters, one from the freeze, one from the crystal. Then you also have Firefly, and this does a lot of damage. So you see on all these mini bosses, it can one hit them, and these guys have a lot of health. Like over 15-16 shots of a hand cannon worth of health, and we're killing all of them instantly in just one shot. And just looking at that without the artifact perk, you see it doesn't even do like a third of their health. Something is just really funky going on with the scaling of all 3 of those things combined, and it is just absolutely broken. It's really hard to put into words and showcase just how good it is until you do it yourself. You can just shoot out one ad, and I mean the entire room will die, including champions. It is actually ridiculous. We also have one with Frost to give our Stasis weapons increased reload speed and stability. Then Elemental Coalescence to have a chance to create Stasis shards when we have a Stasis super equipped. And finally, Elemental Overdrive to give our Stasis weapons increased damage when we pick up those shards. So now we can give the weapon a 10% damage increase when we pick up those shards, which will happen all the time in this build. So kind of making up for the fact that we don't have a damage perk on it, but we're going to go even further on Stasis with Rending to make our primary ammo weapons do increase damage to Stasis crystals and frozen targets. So now with this, it only takes 1 shot to destroy a crystal instead of 2, and then more importantly, it does a lot more damage to frozen targets, which will happen all the time in this build. So now with this combined with the artifact perk, we can give our hand cannon a 56% total damage increase, which is more than making up for the fact that we don't have a damage perk. So all in all, just through the artifact and this weapon with Stasis, it's already practically a fully fledged build, where if you just simply use this hand cannon, that is a full build. Just simply shooting one thing will chain explode practically everything within like a 15-20 meter radius, including mini bosses, champions. It is just wild. But you know me, we're not going to stop there. So looking at the build that just takes this thing to the next level, obviously we're going to be getting a lot of Stasis weapon final blows, so why not run Verities for the double grenade damage and the increased grenade recharge rate? And what is the best grenade to use on Stasis? Well, we really only have one option for doing damage, and it's a pretty good one of the Glacier Grenade. And this damage does scale with the grenade stat of 65% increase at 200 and the double damage of Verities. So without it, we cannot even get close to killing the champion with all 5 crystals. But then with Verities times 5 and 200 grenade stat, I mean, just like 2 crystals will kill a champion from full health. And then we have Glacial Harvest, so whenever we freeze a target, we'll create Stasis shards. And the higher the tier, the more shards will be created from freezing the targets. And all those shards will give us 1 stack of Frost Armor. And then we have Ice Flare Bullets to chain freeze targets when we shatter them. And that obviously happened a lot with the hand cannon and this build. Then we have Whisper of Shards to help get our grenade back, and this will be another grenade energy scaler, kind of like the grenade stat. This one's going to be 150%, which will stack with the 190% of the grenade stat, making us get our grenade back very quickly. Then as we showed off, we have Fissures to increase the damage and radius of the shatters, Conduction to make all the shards come to us instead of having to go pick them up. Then we have Rending to increase the primary ammo damage that we showed off earlier. Or when you get into harder content, I swap over to Rhyme to increase the amount of Frost Armor stacks we can have and the duration of those stacks. And I usually swap over to that quite often for a reason you'll see here in a second. And by far the most important part of this build is refresh threads from the artifact, where picking up all those Stasis shards will grant energy to our least charged ability. So if we just only use our grenade, this will always give grenade energy back. And with all these shards we'll be creating in this build, you can actually chain your grenade just from throwing it at a high tier enemy like a boss or champion, because it will create enough shards to get your full grenade back if you have Death Throes times 5 and Whisper of Shards active. And the final icing on top of the cake is going to be Icebreaker to explode the frozen targets in the Stasis crystals. This is even better this season with Cauterized Darkness, where solar weapons and abilities will do more damage to Stasis debuff targets. So obviously when you throw the crystal, it will freeze them, shoot them with Icebreaker, and you will get the damage increase from this artifact perk. And that is why I usually end up swapping to Whisper of Rhyme to give us 8 stacks of Frost Armor instead of Rending, because I end up shooting the frozen targets and crystals with my Icebreaker. And overall, you can kind of see how this build is just absolutely ridiculous. You have a walking nuke in your hand cannon that'll constantly give you Death Throes times 5. Throw the Glacier Grenade, shoot it with Icebreaker, and you're going to be one-hitting champions, multiple champions, 5 champions, whatever it is, in just a single shot. Then from all these Stasis shards created, you're going to be getting your grenade back instantly. It's a very simple chain of just this incredibly high damage Glacier Grenade with this incredibly great active weapon and the hand cannon. It really is one of the best builds in the game, and it feels just so nostalgic to me because I used to rock a similar version of this build for a very long time, and now it's just so strong. And even if you don't have this hand cannon, you can easily rock this build with just any Stasis hand cannon at all. Obviously one with Headstone would work a little bit better. I would just make sure to use Rending if that was the case, and if you have one with Demo plus Headstone, that would be even better because you would have even more uptime on the Glacier Grenade. And finally, looking at our mods, so the Glacier Grenade is kind of hit or miss with grenade mods, so you really just need a way to create orbs with your Stasis Siphon. And then I run double grenade kickstart because firepower usually doesn't work with the shattering of the Glacier Grenade. And I have a Stasis loader, Stasis ammo generation, resist, all the normal stuff, right? And you can kind of use whatever you want on your class item. And that's because I wouldn't even recommend using a Rift in this build. Obviously, we want to only use our grenade. That way we get only grenade energy from refreshed threads. So really you just need grenade kickstarts and Stasis Siphon, and that's practically it. And yeah, that is the full build. I think just everything in this game is broken. It's hard to determine what you even want to use because it's all just so good. But this is definitely probably the most fun build I've played yet this season. Like I said, it's mostly a nostalgic thing for me because I used to play Stasis parries all the time with a hand cannon, and this feels like just the perfected version of that build. And with all the Vein scaling Glacial Grenade damage now, and just the way this hand cannon functions this season with the artifact is just absolutely broken. So yeah, definitely give this build a try. I will link it down below. And yeah, once you can get tier 4 or 5 versions of this hand cannon, definitely farm it. If you don't want to farm it right now, just use any Stasis hand cannon in this build. One with demo or one with headstone would work the best. Anyways, like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.